Hey everyone, welcome back to Map Room Sessions. I'd like to introduce you all to
Los Caballeros del Son.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Map Room Sessions. Sorry I missed out on you last time, but I am back and ready to go. I'm sitting down with great Cuban band Los Caballeros del Son.
Way to go.
Did I get it right?
Way to go.
Yes. So thanks a lot for stopping by. Really glad you can make it in for a session. A really great set. How does one form a Cuban band in Toronto?
Well, it starts like this. I mean, I've got a history in playing this music that goes back to 1995. As does Andrew and Tony, and this is Andrew Frost, plays guitar, and Tony Ellington is playing bongos. And,
Probably should have asked you guys to all
yeah,
say your names.
we'll get to all of that. We were part of an ensemble from back in 1995. It was called Clave Congo here in Toronto. And so our history in playing that music goes back that far. Your question though is about how does somebody put together a band like this in Toronto? That's kind of like, that's asking, how do musicians actually put things together? It's, I don't know that I've even ever analyzed that except to say that we get together with our friends and we have similar tastes. Wouldn't it be nice to play this kind of music and off it goes from there? And to make a real change though has to do with the musician's growth as a musician and as a person. I didn't want to play rock and roll music anymore. Before that, Andrew and I were part of a musical theater dance improv group called the Subtonic Monks.
That's pretty awesome.
It was just totally free-form stuff, and it was all about just exploring yourself as a musician, and then that leads to doing stuff like Cuban music.
Yeah, it was such a funny thing. So we were playing this totally open, free-form stuff, and then I think within a year we were both learning this really, structure, kind of traditional, really learning a specific tradition, like a real juxtaposed kind of
we both, I think, I speak for myself, I knew that to go into something that was structured at that point was the musician inside of me was going, I need this.
Yeah.
Because they knew they were freeform.
Yeah. Because in fact, I'll just give a little side to it. A friend of mine had told me about these Canadian guys who were playing some, and he was all very impressed by the authentic sound that they had. And eventually I began to come and watch them. And then for many years they started a scene at a bar on College Street like that. And by then I had become a fan. And I eventually played with the band for a few months back in the late 90s.
Okay.
And congas was my main instrument. And but I kept on following the band. It was very it was a nice scene every Friday night, and it was a nice little vibe with lots of dancing, both Latinos and Canadians. So it was a very nice thing. And then once that finished, I think Jay, if I can speak to you for a second on your behalf, is that by a certain amount of years it had turned into a huge orchestra.
Yeah.
And once that scene had finished, I think Jay had this idea he wanted to get back to your basic kind of acoustics of Latin piano. And he sort of dragged me up because I never considered myself a bongo player or maybe congas, but he said, he sort of pushed me to do it. And we began meeting about, 3 years ago?
Something like that.
It's been a lot of fun since.
And
I personally have grown a lot as a musician.
It was through conversations with Sam. Sam and I met through playing folk music and country music. And we sat down at the local pub one night and had a conversation about roots music. And Sam said to me, essentially, I'd love to play Cuban music. And that's when it went off in my head. It's like, we gotta do this.
Yeah.
We gotta get back. Jake Chisholm plays guitar and sings. I've known Jake sort of throughout the music scene more about you than actually knowing you. I mean, I knew about
you have a reputation.
He had and has a really terrific band called Jake and the Blue Mint.
A couple years back in university, I took a world music course and we focused on Cuban music for a little chunk of it. And so when in your name, I saw son and it reminded me of that genre of Cuban music. What is it about that specific type of Cuban music that draws you to that? Like compared to, you said there's so many other types. Why there?
Why there?
It's pretty pure.
Yeah.
Pretty honest, and it. All of us, I think, work with different projects or have worked with different projects, and we're all kind of infatuated with the roots of where music comes from.
In terms of sounds, for an audience who doesn't listen to this type of music, how would you describe son music?
Okay, the style son comes from the eastern part of Cuba. It's a combination of African rhythms as interpreted by Cuban people. So it is definitely African in its rhythmic nature, but at the same time they have their own way of doing it, very, very much so. And then that is also mixed with the Spanish tradition of song and guitars and voice. This instrument, the tres guitar, is indigenous to Cuba. Its home is in Cuba, and you don't find it anywhere else.
The traditional son, they decided to the particular sound that we ended up with was the bongos and the guitar and tres and your bass, or the equivalent of a bass.
You know, one thing that we have neglected to mention, though, of course, is the fact that, okay, I'll start with this. Some instruments that we don't have in this group that are really supposed to, frankly. We're doing rather our version of this music, to be honest with you. Not to put down what we're doing, but we don't have some key elements, one of which is the maracas. Cuban music, the way the maracas are played, very specific to Cuban music. It is not just it's like this. It's a very, very straight and specific rhythm. And then the most important one that we haven't actually mentioned is, of course, the clave, which, if you listen to the original recordings from the 1930s and 40s all the way up through the history of the music, the two small sticks, the clave, are the most important rhythmic key in what we're doing. Even though we don't have them in this band, every instrument in this group is playing around the rhythm that the clave would be playing.
Clave is omnipresent.
Well, it's implied in what we're playing. I play a pattern that goes like this. Tony's tapping the clave rhythm. What I'm doing with my rhythm, which is called the montuno, is I'm placing my notes in a very specific way around what Tony was playing. If he had the clave sticks, it would go. I know through that rhythm what side I'm supposed to put certain parts of my rhythm.
1, 2, 3. Cada vez camino a mi mulatona, no sé qué pasa por mí, no me puedo contener.
You know, frankly, the biggest challenge, and I will admit this wholly to anybody that's listening to this, my Spanish is horrible, and I do my best with it.
I was going to ask, are you all fluent in Spanish here?
No, not at all.
No?
I'm actually the only one.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
You know, Jay, I just sat through a Spanish subtitled version of RoboCop the other day.
Yes, I'm sure I sound just like it. We put up some videos of the band playing on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and somebody wrote in and said, the band sounds great, but the singer sounds like RoboCop.
That is pretty funny. You're in the end. I was wondering what, like, the name of your band, what does it translate to exactly? I'm going to turn to you since you're a resident Spanish.
Well, I'm not even sure how we ended with the name, but Los Caballeros del Son, we're the gentlemen of son.
Oh, cool.
I mean, not that people generally refer to me as a gentleman.
Yeah.
They will after this.
Yeah. And I think that Caballeros has some sort of possible translation of meaning kind of country folk, cowboys.
Well, I mean, back in the day, only you had to have money to have a horse.
Yeah.
And the word caballo,
Yeah.
horse, and so somebody with a horse was called a caballero, and you had to deal with a position of status because only the well-off could afford horses. Right?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's cool. In terms of future performance, do you guys consider this, you know, obviously you love doing it, it's a great hobby. Is it something you know, pursuing in terms of recording
We have a recording that's available, and it is for sale on iTunes. That's Los
Even
Caballeros del Son. I can spell it if we have the time. Los Caballeros del Son is available on iTunes.
Well, we will definitely put a link on
Okay,
the site for that.
that's
for
wonderful.
sure.
And also we have a YouTube channel and we have a Facebook page, all the same. And our goal really essentially is to gig as much as we possibly can.
Okay, well, guys, that's pretty much it. Thanks again for coming in. I had a great time
Thank you for
sitting down and talking.
Thank you for all your work.
All of you out there, thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.
Que me muero yo por ti, que me muero yo por ti, que me muero yo por ti. Mueve la cintura mulatona de mi vida, que me muero yo por ti. Mueve la cintura mulatona de mi vida, que me muero yo por ti, que me muero yo por ti. La vida va por mí. Mueve la cintura mulatona de mi vida, que me muero yo por ti, que me muero yo por ti, que me muero yo por ti, que me muero yo por ti. Que me muero yo por ti, mueve la cintura.